This little video we are going to be looking at making a page like this, which is going to be for instructions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to basically have still a container, normal container, and then we are going to separate it with a grid system, and we're going to put an image in one part and text in the other, like we've done very much before, but the only difference is we're doing it in a slightly different style. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to first of all click on the insert and grid row with column. Now I've already clicked on the top container here, which is where I will be adding things in. We're going to nest it, and we're going to do again two like we've done in previous. Now we're going to get rid of the content goes here container and just make it a little bit smaller. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bit wider there. We'll put that. In fact, which way around have I done it? No, I've done it the other way around. So let me just get rid of them both for a second. We'll make that one smaller, so the image is going to go in this side, and we'll move the text out like so. Now, first thing I'm going to do, which is slightly different with this one, is I'm going to switch to HTML, and we are going to put a heading in. I'm going to go with heading 3 in this one, and we're then going to click in here, and we're going to click heading 3 to make sure we are nesting inside here. Now you can see this, it says here this is the content tag, so we're going to say level 1, and what we're going to do then is we're going to put some text in here. So again, I'm just going to use my lorem ipsum generator purely because I don't want to be typing a load of text in. Okay, now you'll notice a few things with this. We're going to put an image in this side. So if I click on image, and then we're going to nest it. Now notice, because I clicked that container, it was there. And we're going to go game image 1. And again, we click on the 3 dashes here and click on make scalable so that it then scales. Now, at this point, depending on how big your images are, you might need to sort of resize these to make sure they are looking quite nice. Now I'm going to do a slightly different design with the next part. So I've got 3 containers. We're actually going to add another container in for the bottom, and I'll show you what we'll do then after. So this time we're going to add in another container. So we're going to add a grid with a row and column. Again, we're going to do 2, nest, click OK, and there you are. That's looked good. So we get rid of that. And we get rid of that one, and this time we're going to make sure that's a little bit smaller. Now, one quick tip: if you click on this, you can see this has got col-xl5, so you can basically see then how big or how small the columns are, and you can make sure then they're the same. Now what I want to try and do is I want to copy this and this and this into here. Now we've done this before, so if I click and hold down the shift to select them all, if I copy this and then we paste it into one of my other columns. So for example, if I paste it into this one here, so if I right click paste as child, you can see it comes over, and then your template isn't going to be changed too much. So if I click on H3 there, and then we're just going to change that to H2, and we can then insert another image. So if I click on the image, and let's go back to HTML, and let's go to image, we're going to nest it, we're going to add game image 2, we're going to then make it responsive. And as you can see, we've added it there quite nicely into the design, which is good. Last one then we're going to add in, we are going to click on this, and what we will do, we're going to copy everything from this one. Now, instead of copying, I'm going to go through the whole process again. Because I can, I'm going to click on grid and row, we're going to nest it, again it's going to be 2, we get rid of the content goes here, we get rid of the content goes here, we are then going to make this one smaller, and then we'll move this one over. And just while we're at it, we're going to then go back to HTML, we're going to click on image, and nest it, and then we're just going to do level 3, and there you are, level 3's come in. Now it's important to note these images are taken from people's work who left last year, so it's not a current NEA or anything like that. And it was easier to use his work rather than me make my own. Okay, so if I look at this, previously we've used these H3 and 2 paragraphs, so I'm just going to copy this over, and then once I've done that, we're going to make sure we're in the correct container, which is that one there, and I'm going to right click and paste this child, and you can see it comes over there, quite nice. And then we can just change this to, if I click on it here, I'm going to change this to number level 3. I've just seen there's no space there, and that is quite neat and tidy. And what I've done now, if I preview this page, save it, you can see it works out quite nice there. Okay, now what you will notice is that this now is butted up right against the top. Okay, what you can do is a few options we've got here. The quickest way really to get rid of that is if we, as an example, we could click on this container here. Let's add in another container before. So what it's going to do then is it's going to add one blank in. And if I just press a single enter key, so if I just press enter, what should happen then, in fact I don't think I did. Oh, there, I've just done a space instead. Okay, so all I did was I pressed the space bar, and if I go into Safari now, that's added then a little row. Now that isn't the best way of doing it, but it is indeed a very quick way of doing it, and then you'll have a little bit of separation in between. The other way you've got is using pad X and pad Y. Now in order to do this, you're going to need to click on the top container, and normally it doesn't allow me to do it. Let's have a quick think of this really quickly. Now normally what you would do is you just basically add pad X, pad Y into this, or you could type in padding sometimes with this. Now typically in this instance it doesn't seem to want to do it, unless you put your own custom CSS in, which to be honest I don't really want to go down the route of doing that. So if we just put padding, no, it's not picking it up. Put P1 in, let's see what that does. Tell you what, let's put P3 in, see what that does. Yeah, so that's what that is doing there. Now that's adding a little bit of padding around this entire container on the top and the bottom. Now obviously if you increase this number here, instead of P3, if you use P5, which I'll just demonstrate here. Oop, deleted the whole thing. Let me undo that very quickly. So if we do .p5, you can see there's more padding then around it. So that then brings it in a little bit more. Obviously, it's totally up to you how much you want to do. However, what I would suggest is that you can either do the easy way, where you put a container in, press the spacebar, that adds in a blank line. Or if you wanted to do it the other way, then where you add the padding, make sure you are adding that to the correct container, because if I were to add it to anything else, then it might not work that well. For example, if we try to add it to this image, let's say for example we put P2 around, you can see what it's done. It's only applied it to that image, so it's basically made the image shrink a little bit within that container. So essentially that is how you do it. Now the last thing here, if we explain the levels, then you obviously need something like a button to say play the game. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add in the .align content and then center. And then what we're going to do is we're going to insert an image. So if I go to insert HTML, let's click on image, let's nest it, and I got a button somewhere saying play the game. which is here. And then what I would do is I would link that then to my game page. So if I click on this button now, and you can see where it's got link, if I click on this point to file, I'm pointing it to the game page, so that then basically will mean when I click on it, it will go to the game page. Now obviously I've centered this button, and the only reason why I've centered it is because I wanted it there to be right in the center. It is a square button. And when I say it's a button, it's actually just an image, right? So all it is an image. It looks like a button, and I've made it into a hyperlink like so. Okay, so that's how we would do this style of layout.